Good evening and welcome to the Phoenixville Area School District Finance and Personnel Committee meeting for Monday, June 1st, 2026. Our first order of business is approval of the minutes from our last meeting on May 4th. Do any of the committee members or other board members have any questions about those? No? Thank you very much. Next item for business for approval later this evening will be our personnel report. We have resignation from Ms. Henriquez, Spanish teacher from PAMS. We have several professional staff and extra pay for extra duty appointments. It looks like a couple of golf coaches, some summer program staff that'll be approved, and a transfer, from one of the teachers from the Learning Center, Ms. Nash, to the, to first grade. Anybody have any questions on the personnel report? I don't know if Ms. Rockwood's here, if there's anything else you thought.
Yeah, great.
All right, thank you. Moving on to the approval items out of the business office, these will be up for approval in next month's, 2 weeks at the voting meeting. Dr. Melvin, did you want to go through each one of these for us?
Sure. The first one is the disbursement of the school funds for the April bills list. Number 2 is the receipt of the district treasurer's report for April 2026. Number 3 is approval and agreement with the Chester County Intermediate Unit for Medical Access Authorization. This is for the use of doctors and CRNPs, that any of our students that are in a Chester County IU program that need this assistance, we pay them and then we qualify for medical access. These rates are the doctor is a 3.5% increase from last year, and the CRNP is a 3.1% increase from last year. Number 4 is the approval of our annual contract extension with ESS for 2026-2027 school year with increased hourly rates for substitute support staff positions. On there we have increasing the custodians, the instructional aides, and health room nurses. Number 5 is the approval of the 2026-2027 marketplace contract and pricing schedule with the Chester County Intermediate Unit. This is the third and final contract that the school districts approved for CCIU, basically setting all of the marketplace rates and pricing for all of the services that the IU provides. Number 6, 7, and 8 are 3 tax assessment settlements. Number 1 is a settlement for 501 Mason Street, parcel ID 15-8-30. This is for an assessment of $2,228,800. That's an increase of $498,880 in assessed value, which is an increase of $17,497 in taxable revenue. This is the French Creek Manor. This was a district-initiated assessment appeal. Number 7 is approval of a tax assessment settlement for 130 Schuylkill Road. It's an increase of $105,000, which is an increase of $3,694. This is the CVS on Nut Road, which is also a district-initiated appeal. And number 8 is the Wawa on Nut Road. This is a tax assessment settlement for an assessed value of $1,894,480. That's a decrease of $2,165,000. It's a decrease of $75,951 in taxable revenue. This was a taxpayer initiated appeal. The main reason for the large loss is Wawa. That property was owned by an investment firm. When doing assessments of properties, commercial properties, they take into consideration land, building, and lease value. There was a very high lease on that building. We appealed this a couple of years ago, had a pretty significant increase on that assessment. Wawa has now purchased that property, so there's no lease value appeal on it. So it had to be reassessed. Wawa did an appraisal that came in at $2.8 million. We did an appraisal that came in at $6.5 million. Wawa has agreed to a settlement of $5,940,000. Unfortunately, it is a decrease, but it's something that we were expected and is part of our budget process.
Sorry, Dr. Melvin, could you repeat what our assessment came in at?
$6.5 million.
And theirs came in at?
$2.8 million. Yeah.
Explain me.
I can't. They had an appraisal come out, and obviously they want their appraisal to be as low as possible because that's what they want to go on the court records as. I can't, you would have to ask their appraiser why they came with that number. We obviously did not agree to that. We had our own appraisal done, which came in with the 6.5. They agreed to the 5.9, which our only other possible would be to sue in court. Typically, in Chester County, common pleas, tax assessment appeals have not been going in favor of school districts, and most of the appeals that we've seen go before a judge, they kind of find the median in there. This settlement was much closer to our assessment number and appraisal number than theirs was. So my office, in connection with our appraiser, the solicitor's office, the county assessment office, the county solicitor's office, and the township were all in agreement on this number.
Thank you for working on it.
Thanks. Number 9 is approval of the district's property and liability insurances. Just to run through this real quick, our package policy is a 9.09% increase. However, on that, we increased our property values 6.3%. So this is a blanket policy on all of our property. We know with construction costs, if something would happen, it's getting more expensive to rebuild. We increased our blanket limit from $378 million to $402 million, which is part of that increase. Our business auto, we're seeing about industry-wide roughly 5 to 10% increases. That is a 5.16% increase. Our school board legal carrier is holding our rates steady. Our cyber liability, we have actually negotiated a 5.07% decrease in premium. Our commercial umbrella saw a 9.51% increase. That's kind of market-wide right now, as in government entities and industry-wide, with new legislation, past sexual abuse cases used to have a limit on how long you could look back. It's now limitless. You can go back 40, 50 years and get settlement. So as that is occurring, the umbrella markets are increasing. And then our sports accident is staying steady. So we're looking at a total premium increase of $19,000, bringing our total liability and property insurance to $330,000. That's a 6.2% increase. We did start the year off at a 10.06% increase. We were able to negotiate that down about $12,000 to the 6.2. It's getting harder to negotiate these because there's really only 3 companies that will write policies this big. One is a carrier that's having a lot of issues with claims activity. There are a lot of school districts that have it that are not happy with it. We used to be able to bid Utica against Liberty Mutual. Liberty Mutual has a moratorium on southeastern Pennsylvania. They will not write any new business in our area. They did that about 2 years ago. We reached out back to them this year. They're still not interested in writing. So we basically have one company that we can negotiate with. But considering the numbers, we think these are pretty good renewal numbers. Number 10 on the agenda is the renewal of our contract for a sports medicine physician coverage at our home football games with Rothman Orthopedics for the coverage of our home PASD home football games for the term of July 1 through June 30th, 2027. Nothing has changed in this contract renewal from last year. Number 11 is approval of agreement with Chester County Juvenile Probation. This is also a renewal of our agreement for any probation services between the district and the court. Again, same renewal from last year, no changes. Number 12 is the renewal approval of a MOU with the Greater Philadelphia YMCA for a term of July 1, 2026 through June 30th, 2028. This is for agreements that if there's any type of disaster in the area, we can use the YMCA and the YMCA can use our buildings. And lastly, number 13 is approval of the 25-26 homestead farmstead exclusion resolution. This is actually part of the budget resolutions that will be approved at tonight's meeting. We wanted to be aware last year's homestead exclusion was $277.72. This year it is $276.19. It's a decrease of $1.53 per bill. The main reason for that is the state left the funding for this flat. So our funding was $1,915,000. The other part of that is the Sterling Act tax credit, which is anybody who lives in our district but works within the city of Philadelphia. The city of Philadelphia keeps those earned income rates. To make up for that, the state of Pennsylvania reimburses the surrounding municipalities. That's based on the prior year earned amount of earned income tax paid. 2 years ago, there was 84.1 million. Last year, that dropped to 79.1 million. So our Sterling Act tax credit dropped from 420,000 to 395,000. So it's actually a decrease of 25,000, which equates to $1.53 less per homestead exclusion.
And what's our participation rate in terms of applications for the homestead? Is it low 60s?
We're probably about a 70% approval rate currently.
Thank you.
And that's all the items for tonight.
So I had two quick questions. First, from a budgeting perspective, is everything that's outlined here already included in the budget, the final budget that we're?
It is, yes.
Okay. And then secondly, I noticed on the treasurer's report, the total fund balance is around 62 million.
Cash available.
Cash available.
Yes.
And there's kind of been a cash burn, if you will, of about 5-6 million month over month. Is that reflective? Do you feel like that's sort of our normal course of business because of the way the cash receipts come in, like 90%?
Yes, because 90% of our revenue comes in through taxable revenue when tax bills go out on July 1st. So that comes in, which is why you see high interest earnings in July through December, and then that money is spent down into June before it recycles in July 1.
Okay. Thank you. Does anyone else have any questions for Dr. Malver? Next item on the agenda are the monthly bank statements for April. Any question, anything of interest or noteworthy that you'd like to share, Dr. Malver? No? Anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Next, we have recognition of visitors, and our first visitor is Kristen Myers.
Good evening, I'm Kristen Myers. I'm an East Pikeland resident. I just want to say thank you to two staff members who are leaving, Dr. Frank Garantino and Dr. Jess Kilmatz. They have done wonderful things for our students and for our schools. My husband and I still talk about that first middle school open house night when Dr. Garantino said, check your kids' cell phones. Social media, make sure you know what's going on because the weekend goes by and Monday morning I'm putting out fires based on what happened on social media or cell phones over the weekend. We still do that to this day. My 9th grader cell phone is not kept in his room and I do look at it on a weekly basis. Dr. Jess Kilmatz, they both were always ready to answer any of my questions I had. If I didn't know who to go to in the school, I could go to one of those two, and they would point me in the right direction. Dr. Jess Kilmatz, she was always ready to help me out. Last year, my daughter asked her to be on her Girl Scout Gold Award team, and she did not hesitate to say yes. My daughter completed her Gold Award, and with Jess's help, she did a project on resilient reading. She was able to donate 2 books to every Barclay student, and she recorded herself reading books on the internet, on YouTube, under Resilient Readers. So that was a huge help because her Gold Award team said she needed someone from the school district. So she stepped up, and it was wonderful. My daughter completed her Gold Award, and with completing her Gold Award, she also received her trifecta pin, which means she earned her silver, bronze, and gold, which all 3 projects benefited this school. So thank you very much. And if you don't know, the Gold Award is equivalent to the Eagle Scout and Boy Scouts.
Thank you. Lisa Longo.
I wanted to follow up from the policy committee meeting on the cost of the various technology contracts and request that in the next finance meeting that there be a presentation including the cost to opt out. I understand there's a cost to break a contract, and I think one of the people who spoke brought that up. I think it's a really important point, and again, that we look at this over the summer before the start of the school year so that something can be in place before the kids return to the buildings. That would be essential. I think there's an overall lack of trust and loss of trust because of the communication issues. I mean, I'm feeling it. I have felt it every time I've come. We need to have open communications, and that it doesn't happen in 3 minutes all the time. Committee meetings never had time limits. And it's just, it boggles my mind that this is allowed to continue. Anyway, I want to echo just on Dr. Kilometz and Dr. Garitano, thank them for their service. I think it's great. But to get back to another piece of technology that we use, I would like to know the cost for Turnitin specifically, because somebody brought up privacy policies. And I will tell you that 10, 15 years ago when my daughter was here, we opted her out of Turnitin because of copyright. Everything our students submit to Turnitin, they own. They can use our students' work to feed AI. And I didn't even read it. My daughter read it because I taught her to do those things. So we had to opt her out. But then I found out from a parent, we were still using it. I wasn't even aware. So I think that's something the board, the finance committee, look at the cost. Why are we paying them if they then take our students' work and sell it? That, to me, is a little crazy. The final thing I asked for this before, when we're looking at all of these finance committee, a lot of them don't have a cost. I know that they then appear somewhere in the budget, but that should be detailed on here so taxpayers are aware of what each of these items cost and which budget line item it reflects back to. Because when we start talking about the budget in the next meeting that you guys want to approve tonight, I asked very specific questions that board members could not answer. Where are these expenses? How much are these things? How do we balance the budget? Talking about the budget, one of the biggest line items is our debt service, and I think we always had an annual presentation on the debt service, so we knew what bonds were coming up for redemption. We also understood what the total interest was. Sometimes an early redemption can save a lot of money. With the way the bond market has been operating, it really might save us money to look at that. I don't know, I'm not an expert, but we have an expert. They should come in. The same thing with the medical self-insurance. These are things I'll bring up again when we talk about the budget. How can we fully fund PE, health, art, music, things that directly benefit the students? We look at some of these line items where we're being a little too conservative maybe, right? There's usually a range that's recommended. Self-insurance is one of them. So I would ask that we have these detailed presentations so that we can all understand them. Finally, I just heard our burn rate's $5 million a month. Is that correct?
Month over month, depending on the cycle, right? So if I understood Dr. Melber correctly, the way we take in cash, right, is based on tax receipts. So it's going to be very uneven.
So the burn rate is what we spend, not what we take in.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. In recent months. So the question was around, is that normalized based on our ebb and flow, cash intake, outflow? And I believe it is.
Right, but I'm just asking specifically, is it about 5 million? Like, do we know what that average number is over 10 months?
I think it would have mattered depending on the month, right?
Well, again, we should know the average over 10 months. So if the total, right, what's our average burn rate?
not
I
sure
thought
the
I
average-
heard you say 5 million.
I'm not sure the average is meaningful, and I'll explain why. Because of the timing of how cash comes in and out.
Yeah, I understand, because I did this budget for
If you
10,
took the
15
average
years.
from July to December, it would look much higher because all the cash receipts come.
Well, the reason why I asked is because if the burn rate is 5 million a month for 10 months, that's $50 million. Pretty simple math, right? But I heard we were taking in we had 62 million in available cash. So what I was trying to get to is, what is the unrestricted amount of the general fund? I thought I heard at another meeting it was about $11 million. That math works. But again, this information should be readily available somewhere. I scoured the website for the last couple of weeks. I can find nothing to help me figure these numbers out. That would help balance the budget.
Does the treasurer's report that's not included in the agenda outline that?
Some of the information is there, but not all of it.
I believe our treasurer's report has every single fund and bank balance that we have up to date, up through last month end. That's what I was referring to.
Oh, just the fund balance, yes. But what
That's one
I'm
report.
trying to figure out what it's going to be in the future, not what it is today. So taking today's add-in revenues, take out that, like I was trying to do a little forecast. Not look at just today. I'm looking at what's it going to be in 12 months, because that's what the budget is forecasting, right? So how can we find the funds? And it's not just music. Multiple parents have reached out and have concerns about PE, health, and art as well. So how do we find the funds for these student-centered programs? And now that the budget is going to be voted on tonight, this is really crucially important. But these conversations should have been had over a period of months. It should have been disclosed. The other thing, I looked everywhere on our social media and website and saw no announcement of the budget meeting tonight. None. And if we're going to talk about community engagement and trust and all the use of technology we have, you could send us all a text message. You could send parents a note on Canvas. A lot of people didn't even know this was going to happen tonight. This vote should not happen tonight, by the way. You should talk about these issues. You should have answers to every single one of these questions. There should be a round of amendments by each board member, right? You should all have input into this. It's not just a budget being presented to you and you saying, sure. That's not the way it's supposed to work. We used to have 10 budget meetings a year, and I sent you a sample of one of our budget presentations. Did you guys get a presentation with all of that data? Because if you did, it should be public, and I haven't seen it. Maybe I can't find it, but if it's up there, please send me a link. But please, don't vote on the budget tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Longo. Katie Cirillos.
Hi, Katie Cirillos, middle school teacher, mom, taxpayer, community member. I live in the borough. Thank you for your time tonight. I know time is going by quickly. It's going to be, I assume, a later evening. Good evening. I saw a quote online the other day that caught my attention. It said, "True support for schools must reflect genuine care and respect for the well-being of students and teachers who serve their communities every day." When our day is over, it really isn't over. We're always thinking, planning, replaying, and figuring out ways to make teaching and learning even better the next day and to continue to build meaningful connections with our students. Making changes to an academic schedule brings a sense of excitement and gives us an opportunity to think and reflect. It creates opportunity for collaboration. At this moment, the possibility of a new middle school schedule has not involved collaboration. There are a number of concerns with the proposed new schedule and lots of questions. The middle school teachers have lots of ideas, solutions, proposals, and we would love to collaborate to build a truly great schedule that makes sense. An example of how it might make sense or not make sense. Right now, elementary school has recess every day. The high school has an extended lunch period of 45 minutes, which gives the kids 30 minutes to eat and an extra 15 minutes to maybe stretch their legs or walk outside and do hacky sack, because by the way, hacky sack is back, y'all. Middle school has 30 minutes, in, out. There's no extra time there. There's no downtime. It's just right through. Why does the middle school miss out on those extra minutes? Middle school right now is talking about increasing the length of our class periods, possibly to 50 minutes. Next year, I'm thinking of 8th graders, right? When they go to the high school, class time goes back down to 45 minutes. So we're planning on disrupting our schedule for extra time into each class period, but next year it's going to go back down to 45 minutes. We can add, 2 or 3 minutes easily without blowing up the whole schedule, which would give us a little bit more instructional time and not require so much change, at least until we can collaborate. There's lots of ideas and solutions out there. We just need some time to put that all together. So I'm here tonight because I know our high school needs some significant updates. We all know that. And I know you have to figure out the technology thing because everybody's making really good points about technology. But I do urge you to find some funding for the teaching positions that are being moved out of and or missing from the middle school. We need time to collaborate on a new schedule, and giving us funding to maintain staff until the collaborative decisions can be made would be really appreciated.
30 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you. Stephanie Nicolosi.
Before I talk too long, there's another part where we talk about budget later, right? Okay, all right, good. So then I'm just gonna ask, tonight was supposed to be one of my very rare date nights with my partner. So I just want to reiterate a comment that was made earlier and it's been made other times. If we could please make these available via Zoom, that would be nice, not just for myself as a single parent who does not always have childcare coverage to come here and be here tonight, and a very minimal social life. It also would be more respectful to our teachers to give them the ability, often many of them who do not live in this same district, to be able to have their voices heard here as well. I would really love to see that happen. Again, it would allow me to be able to put my kids to bed, put Zoom on and be like, make a comment, put it on mute and be like, finish reading about, Bailey Elementary School kids, what. So that's all, and I'll talk to you more about budget later. But also I did one quick comment is any decision being made, I don't know anything about what's happening in middle school, but I would hope that any decision being made for our teachers and for our schools is going to Gemba, to the people. That means going to the people actually doing the work and getting their insight and input before rolling out any change. So thank you.
Thank you. Lauren Clark.
Hi, me again. Third time's the charm, right? Good evening. My name is Lauren Clark, and I'm a parent, resident, and teacher in Phoenixville Area Middle School. Over the past several meetings, I have spoken about the programs and positions that have been eliminated from the middle school over the past several years. Tonight, I would like to draw attention to another critical area that has received far too little discussion: the reading specialist and math interventionist. As a district, we frequently emphasize the importance of equity in this district. We speak about ensuring that all students have access to the support they need to succeed. However, I struggle to reconcile that commitment with the current reality at our middle school. Each elementary school has 2 reading specialists and 1 interventionist, math interventionist. The high school has 2 interventionists, yet the middle school currently has 0. 0. Students do not stop needing academic support when they leave elementary school. In fact, middle school is often when learning gaps become more apparent and academic demands increase. Last year, the middle school had access to a half-time reading specialist and 1 math interventionist. Both of those professionals were reassigned to elementary schools this year, but those positions were never replaced. As a result, middle school students no longer have access to the same level of targeted intervention and support that is available elsewhere in this district. This creates a significant gap in services at a critical stage in student development. What is especially concerning is that when the middle school requested additional support for next year, we were informed that any solution would need to come through an internal reassignment rather than addition of new staff. In other words, there was no opportunity to address this need through new hiring. I believe our students deserve better. I am always here for our students. If we are truly committed to equity, then we must ensure that support services are available across all grade levels, not concentrated in some buildings while completely absent in others. Therefore, I respectfully ask the board to pause and take a closer look at the budget priorities and allocations. I urge you to consider where adjustments can be made so that reading specialists, math interventionist positions can be restored to the middle school, as well as our other mixed media positions that are being reallocated.
30 seconds.
These are not optional supports. They are essential resources that help students build the skills they need to be successful both now and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Meredith Stradley.
Hi, Meredith Stradley again, of East Pikeland Township. So I've been hearing tonight that there's not enough funds in the budget to hire and retain staff at the middle school. Frankly, from what I've learned, the proposed staffing levels are disheartening and frankly untenable. We are putting our students at risk. Well, frankly, we're endangering our students here, right? We're putting them at risk of an underwhelming education, and we're putting them in front of the very real risk of losing our beloved teachers. We know that teachers are already stretched so thin, asked so much, and studies show consistently that of all professions, teachers consistently rank as the least happy. I want to ask you tonight, in this current budget, are there line items for bonuses and salary increases for upper administration? Because if so, I urge you to consider directing these funds instead to those on the front lines, our teachers, and specifically our middle school teachers. And I'll give you another novel idea here. I ask as a taxpayer to please stop serving big tech our taxpayer dollars on a silver platter. Take our taxpayer dollars and give it to those who educate our children. Invest in hiring and retaining staff, specifically at the middle school. Thank you.
With that, there's no more public comment, and this meeting is adjourned at 7:49 p.m. Our next meeting will be on August the 10th, 2026.